idea that, part of an idea that we always had with Warcraft 3, that long before the humans were there were these older races, and we introduced those a little bit with the Elves and the Dwarves in Warcraft 2, but there was always the idea that there were precursors to them as well. The Night Elves are one of those precursor races. You'll find out a lot more about them in their campaign. I don't want to give away too much on their background. One of the things we're really excited about with the Night Elves, though, is that we really want to use things like the day-night cycle with them a lot, giving them not necessarily better abilities at night, but different abilities at night in some cases. Having like things like Shadow Mill. It's a powerful ability, but not overbalanced. The fact that you're invisible when you don't move is great, but of course you can't do anything while you're invisible. So it's a great way to have. I mean, the way that it plays out is much like burrowing, for example, with Zerg. I mean, they're invisible when they don't move. It's just a different way of doing it, and we have different ways that you can find them or not find them. And we really wanted to represent this race that had a lot of history and background and knowledge you can easily tie in with the world and with some of the new directions we're going with the story, and while at the same time be able to introduce a lot of new ideas and gameplay concepts. The last are the Undead. The Undead are the really weird units that are tough to describe. We're still trying to figure out if they use gold, and if they do, why. They use bodies, which is a very interesting concept, I think. They can use them to regenerate units or to make new units, or there's as spell components. Basically, the thing that becomes very interesting with the Undead is that you don't necessarily just leave a battlefield once you're done fighting if you're playing an Undead player, because you're leaving behind a resource almost. So it makes for some very different types of combats. I think we tend to see people after they win a battle, they kind of hang around until all the corpses decay. They don't just go like, oh, I've won, they run off, and then because some Undead can sweep in behind them and raise some more units up, and now all of a sudden they're fighting again when they didn't think to. It makes for a very different style of play, not only as the Undead player, but also against the Undead. So that's kind of the rough overview of the four different